Here we are with the Chris bike. We're going to show how to take off the rear brake pads on 1200 GS. I always carry spare pads. And I showed it in an earlier clip on my own bike. I placed them behind the license plate. Just find a place to have them. I just found out that it happened to be that it's a good place to use that hole, the same for the license plate, and put them back there. Then I know I always have them with me. I'm not so concerned with the front rear brakes, no, front disc brakes, because there are 4 pads opposed to just 2 pads and smaller surface on this end. But I still carry that, and we're going to look at that later. So enough said about that. And again, you are here at home in your garage working. Use your home tools to get this all off, and then pay attention to what tools you use so you have the same right tools with you in your kit. It's very important. It's nothing worse than being on the road out there and you don't have the right tools to get off the parts. So first we're going to take off, and some people wonder why in the heck did BMW make this? Well, it's like the same as an extended fender. Basically, you don't want all the dirt to come up and fill up your luggage with sand and mud and stuff. So that's the whole purpose. They've gotten stronger. The old 1150 and especially the 1100, they used to just flop off and get caught when you have knobby tires. That can easily happen. Oops, forgot that one there. So usually they last now these days, but I saw on the Siberia trips, man, we have so many of them fall off. I remember one time I came on my 1150 GS and it just was a big bang and it just flew off. I thought the engine had broken or something, but nothing. It was good. So take this part off. There was 3 nuts here. That's all you need. And then we come to the disc. What's different with this bike is compared to the 1150, the 1200 now have, and it's much easier to work on, is that the disc and the caliper sits on the final drive. So when you take off the wheel, it's not going with the wheel anymore, which is great. It makes it much easier to work with. So that's the next thing. We're going to take off the caliper because the purpose of this is to take off the rear brake. But before we do that, I usually take this thing here and use that it's mounted on the bike. It's easier to get done that the pin that goes through that hole there, it's sitting there. It has a locking thing here. See, my English is not so good. I have all these things, but I think you get it. Split pin here that closes and secure the pin that go through. I'm going to get that loose just by there. And I'm doing this because now it's sitting on the bike. If I took off the caliper, it will just be a little more difficult to work with. So now I can just pull that guy off. Can actually change on the bike. Well, you're not going to be able to. You are. Oh, I never done this, seen that come that easy off. Okay, but I need to take it off the caliper to inspect them and to get them on properly again. But like you say, this is good pads, and one of the things you look at when you see in the pads is, of course, the thickness of how much material you have left to wear. So you can measure these two. Yeah, they're pretty darn good. They're more or less the same thickness. And that's why BMW have made these holes in it, so you can actually inspect them from the other side and can see if it worn through. But normally we will look from the behind and see the distance between the disc itself and this steel here. So if you think about the brake like this, the closer it is in between here, the closer it's going to be, less material it's going to be. So when that come in, and they meet, well, it's nothing more of the brake padding left. But let's take off this guy. And this is a spacer here for the mud flap. And I'm sure if you go to your garage, they have torque, special torque for all of these screws. Well, this is not my bike, so I really don't care. Well, that's a joke. Normally I just tighten it to what I feel myself, but if you were going to be specific with it, you should get the right torque. So this is how easy the whole thing came off. And I'm taking it off because to just put them in there without taking off the caliper would be taking a chance. You want to see that this part here come into the groove. And also another thing that can get an issue as the brake pistons, there are two pistons here, they get dirty after a while and then they get sticky and they don't want to return properly. I have had that problem with my 1150. That's a bike with over 60,000 miles on now. This is a brand new bike. It's not an issue. But then you need to get in and take this whole apart and clean it properly, and probably get somebody that know what they are doing to clean that. Be aware of, though, when you're working on the brake pads and stuff, if somebody come and they hit the brake, you will see the pistons go out. Coming out there, this one particularly go out a little further than the other one. So if they go too far out, then they can fall out, and that's an issue. So we don't want that to happen. So just press it back there. And then you take the new pads on. In this case, we don't need the new pads on. We just use the old one. It's pretty straightforward. Go into the little groove there. Go in here, and now I'm doing everything in the reverse. This pin here, you can always lubricate that a little, but just don't get any lubrication, of course, on the braking pad material. You don't want that on the brake pads themselves. And these are all little spring loaded, so, and we can take that, give it a little boink. So you should be back. Is that good enough? You see? Actually, I can't see the hole, so I need to get it a little more in. But I'm going to wait till it's all on the bike. I'm going to take, you see, where's the screwdriver? There. Make a little opening here. Press it apart, because now I'm going to thread it on to the disc itself. See? Usually if you get it started on one end, then the other one, and come on. And then it's just to remember the order you took it up. So it's important that when you put it back, that you don't just tighten this up, then it might not align up, and you're in trouble. Don't want to be in trouble. Okay, so here, like this through here. Well, we don't have the mud flap on, but basically what I'm doing now, using it as a guide, because I want to tighten that up. I cannot tighten it up because this guy is coming over here to cover up this, so I can't get into it. So I'm just putting this here for the guidance, then I'm going to tighten up, and then I'm going to take it out, put it back again. You'll see. But just pay attention to that. And just so I don't forget it, sometimes I forget it myself, and sometimes I just forget to mention it when I work with people on rear brakes. After you got it on, and I haven't tightened it all the way down now, but after, it's very important to pump up your brakes, because it's so easy to forget that. You had all the calipers away, perhaps you even changed on both front and rear tire, and you don't pump up the brakes, and you take off out into the street, and there comes a car in front of you, and you grab all the brakes you have nothing, because you need to pump them up so they get in position and ready to brake. It's really, really important. So we've done that now. And take and tighten that. Tighten that. There is a little guide hole here where this split pin is going to go in through. So that, if I don't line that up so that on the top, then of course I can't hit that little hole there. So here, I'll try again. It's not a big deal. Just go back, you see, I need to keep that hole up. There we go. The hole is up. Here comes the other pad. Yep. Okay, then I can go on the other side and hammer it in again. Yeah, that sounds like it was bottoming in. You see the hole here? It's on top. There. Then I got that little pin in. So again, no, I forgot, did I tighten? I think I tightened. Just going to make 100% sure. Yeah, tighten that one. Tighten there. I have done that. There are 2 brake pads in. They are sitting good. I have checked my brakes. Well, all I need to do now is take out this screw that I used just as a guide here. Then I'm going to put on back the mud flap. Basically, we changed the brake pads. That's all we need to do. It's easy like that. You can do it on the road. You don't need to have the tire off or anything. Just don't use force when you do that. Sometimes, yeah, it can be a little tight here, this pin here. Just make sure that you have, you can use a nail, you can improvise on the road. It's nice to have a tool like that, but if you're not carrying that with you, you can find something. You can use a rock and a little nail, and you can get this thing out. Use some WD-40 or some lubricant to get it loose. But it's not much to be said about it. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so much for changing rear brake pads.